Before it was a cosy drink, it was a state secret. Before it was a British tradition, it was stolen. Before it was casual, it started a war between two empires. The story of tea is one of theft, addiction, and rebellion, and most people have never heard how much blood was spilled over a cup of leaves. It starts in China, almost 5,000 years ago. Legend says that around 2737 BC, Emperor Shen Nung was boiling water under a tree when leaves drifted into his cup. He drank it anyway. He loved it, and tea was born. For centuries, tea stayed almost entirely within China, treated as medicine, ritual, and art. Buddhist monks used it to stay awake during meditation. Emperors taxed it, poets praised it, and entire ceremonies were built around brewing it correctly. Outsiders were not welcome to learn the secret. By the 1600s, Portuguese and Dutch traders finally brought tea to Europe. It was wildly expensive, and only the rich could afford it. In Britain, that changed fast. Tea became an obsession, then a national identity. By the 1700s, ordinary British families were drinking it daily, and demand exploded. There was just one problem. China controlled the entire supply, and Britain had almost nothing China wanted to trade for it. So Britain paid in silver, and the silver was running out. To fix the trade imbalance, the British East India Company found something China did want: opium. Grown in British-controlled India, opium was smuggled into China by the ton, creating mass addiction across the country. When China tried to ban it and seized British opium stockpiles, Britain declared war. The First Opium War began in 1839. Britain's navy crushed China's forces, and China was forced to open its ports, pay reparations, and hand over Hong Kong. A second Opium War followed 20 years later, with the same result, all of it to keep tea flowing to Britain. But Britain still didn't grow its own tea, so in 1848, the East India Company sent a botanist named Robert Fortune into China in disguise. His mission was industrial espionage. He shaved his head, dressed as a Chinese merchant, and travelled deep into restricted tea regions. He smuggled out thousands of tea plants and seeds, along with the secret processing techniques China had guarded for centuries. Using that stolen knowledge, Britain planted vast tea plantations in colonial India, in Assam and Darjeeling. The plantations were built on brutal indentured labour, workers trapped by debt, disease and low wages, growing the plant that fueled an empire's afternoon ritual. Back in Britain, tea's popularity created another danger. Unscrupulous sellers stretched supplies by dyeing cheap leaves with toxic compounds, including copper salts and Prussian blue, to make them look like premium green tea. People were being poisoned by their own afternoon cup, and it took years of scandal before regulations caught up. Meanwhile, in the American colonies, tea became a symbol of a different kind of rebellion. In 1773, angry at British taxation without representation, colonists boarded ships in Boston Harbor and dumped an entire shipment of British tea into the water. The Boston Tea Party helped spark a revolution that ended with America breaking from the empire entirely. The plant did not change. The chemistry did not change. What changed was who controlled it, who was forced to grow it, and how far people were willing to go, from war to theft to rebellion, just to keep the kettle full. You've had a cup of tea without a second thought. What you were actually drinking was a stolen secret, 2 wars, an empire's addiction, and a rebellion that helped birth a nation, dissolved into something you finish in 10 minutes.